Welcome to Morgellons discussion and microscopy videos with your host, Jeremy Murphy.
Hey YouTube! Wow, it's been a long time no see, huh? That's because I've been on TikTok. But I had to jump back on here because I commented on a video recently from Mental Health Master. What is Morgellons with an apostrophe disease, parentheses, delusional parasitosis? And this video has generated a lot of controversy because, unfortunately, Mental Health Master did not include the scientific evidence that we report about on our channel. And so I've got visitors to his channel responding to my comments going, "You're being harmful, your channel is making delusional patients have false beliefs," just craziness. But let's be clear about something. All we're doing is reporting on a condition which we have and which is scientifically demonstrated. So what I want to do is I want to go through the evidence that Mental Health Master did not include, and then I got a bonus after that. So stick around to the end. Okay? The first one, I want to be sure that, most people are on board in 2021 that chronic Lyme disease is real, okay? That people with Lyme disease are often misdiagnosed because the tests often fail, and that's why the government has a multi-million-dollar prize to award to whoever can develop a better test. It's called Lyme X. But the first one I want to talk about this research here. And again, if what we're saying isn't true, then why are these scientists allowed to spread lies, and why are these journals accepting these papers for publication? It doesn't make any sense that, we're up here just reporting on these scientific papers that have been peer-reviewed. They're even indexed on the National Institute of Health, the PubMed website. I mean, if that's not science, then, and then I got people saying, "Oh yeah, well, you get lies showing up in the PubMed." Whatever, man. I mean, the evidence is the evidence, and it's right here. We present evidence of persistent Borrelia infection despite antibiotic therapy in patients with ongoing Lyme disease symptoms. In this pilot study, culture of body fluids and tissues was performed in a randomly selected group of 12 patients with persistent Lyme disease symptoms who had been treated or who were being treated with antibiotics. And so right here, they cultured skin and human secretions, and they came up with not just DNA, but actual live whole bacteria writhing around like crazy in the petri. And they documented it right here, and they showed that this experiment could be repeated. And so it was repeated in other places, and then it was accepted for publication in this prestigious healthcare journal. So is the journal lying? It just doesn't make any sense. Yeah. And so then the next one I want to go over is it was published in the Journal of Clinical, Cosmetic, and Investigational Dermatology. History of Morgellons disease from delusion to definition. So this study says, clinical studies supporting the hypothesis that MD is exclusively delusional in origin have considerable methodological flaws and often neglect the fact that mental disorders can result from underlying somatic illness. In contrast, rigorous experimental investigations show that this skin affliction results from physiological response to the presence of an infectious agent. Recent studies from that point of view show an association between MD and spirochetal infection in humans, cattle, and dogs. These investigations have determined that the cutaneous filaments are not implanted textile fibers, but are composed of the cellular proteins keratin and collagen, and result from overproduction of these filaments in response to spirochetal infection. So why are these scientists allowed to spread lies if what they're saying isn't true? But I think the bigger question is, Why are channels like Mental Health Master allowed to talk about Morgellons in an authoritative perspective? Because if they're in the medical field and they're out there talking about that, people are going to lend more credence to what they're saying. They're going to weight it based on their profession. But I don't think it's honest to exclude. This is a scientific review of the contemporary literature. This isn't just one scientific study. I mean, this research right here comprises several studies over the years. And used to be scientific reviews were considered the highest evidence of science that you could present about any particular subject. Now, another review of the literature that came out the same year, 2018, Reframing Delusional Infestation, Perspectives on Unresolved Puzzles. This is another paper that states right here, Morgellons disease, characterized by the presence of cutaneous filaments projected from or embedded in the skin, is also a polemic issue because of its relationship with spirochetal infection. And so this study goes on to say, if fibers are present and biofilaments of human origin, then they are a true observation. It is also possible that patients might observe fibers and mistake them for worms, in which case the idea of infestation could be an overvalued idea. Real infestation with arthropods, such as mites, can also occur. Additionally, some patients could have lesions with adhering textile fibers that are accidentally contaminants and could mistakenly believe they have Morgellons disease, in which case they do not have a delusional belief, but a mistaken belief. In summary, if a physician cannot differentiate between true observations, delusions, and overvalued ideas, they should not immediately make a diagnosis of delusional mental illness. And so I want to read just that first part, that first sentence again, because this is vital. If fibers are present and biofilaments of human origin, then they are a true observation. And this study says right up here, Morgellons disease, characterized by the presence of cutaneous filaments, not textile fibers, projected from or embedded in the skin, is also a polemic issue because of its relationship with spirochetal infection. Now, what does this scientific review reference in regard to this relationship with spirochetal infection? You got it. They refer back to the research that's cited in this scientific review. All right, so the most recent research right here is in the Clinical, Cosmetic, and Investigational Dermatology Classification and Staging of Morgellons Disease Lessons from Syphilis. All right, so the last paper I want to talk about, this is the bonus surprise at the end, is the CDC's 2012 study, Clinical, Epidemiologic, Histopathologic, and Molecular Features of an Unexplained Dermopathy. Because there are some untrue things that people are saying about this paper, and I know it's because they haven't actually read it themselves. So, Mental Health Master, I want you to listen up, and please respond if you can. I would thoroughly enjoy a healthy debate on this issue, this scientific issue. CDC study says we were not able to conclude, based on this study, whether this unexplained dermopathy represents a new condition, as has been proposed by those who use the term Morgellons. Now, I want to say that again, and I want to talk about this. We were not able to conclude based on this study. I have had people in Reddit try to tell me that they were from academia and we were not able to conclude actually means we determined that this was a delusional disorder. That is the worst kind of gaslighting that I've ever experienced online. I mean, it says it right here. We were not able to conclude. It doesn't say we concluded determinately that Morgellons is a delusional disorder. It doesn't say that at all. And I mean, I'm not a scientist, I'm not in academia, but I definitely know the difference between we were not able to conclude and we concluded decisively. And it doesn't say we concluded decisively or we decisively concluded. It says we were not able to conclude. And also another thing that people say is that these patients didn't have any infections in them, that the CDC found no infections. Well, the 2012 CDC Morgellons study actually says 8% case patients had anti-HCV antibodies, and 12.5% 2 borderline had anti-HBs antibodies. No case patients had anti-HBC or HBsAg antibodies. 1 case patient each had a positive or borderline EIA for Borrelia burgdorferi, but none had a positive IgG Western blot. 3 8% case patients had a positive serologies for Toxocara, and 3